Imagine you're driving down a quiet country road, minding your own business, when suddenly the car in front of you starts brake checking you, slamming the brakes over and over, slowing down to practically a crawl. You do what any reasonable driver would do. You pass them, you move on, you think it's over, and then at the very next stop sign, you hear it, a gunshot, and your rear window explodes. That is exactly what happened to one driver in West Michigan, and the legal questions that followed are ones that every single person on the road needs to understand. Let's take a step back and really set the scene here, because this story is more than just a dramatic near miss. This is about what happens when ordinary road conflict escalates into something truly terrifying, and what your rights are when it does. Road rage incidents are more common than most people realize. According to the Giffords Law Center, there are roughly 30 murders and 1,200 injuries attributed to road rage every single year in the United States. But what makes this particular case so legally fascinating is the combination of factors involved: the apparent provocation, the criminal act, the use of surveillance footage, and the very real civil legal options that are now on the table for the victim. This happened in West Michigan, which falls under Michigan state law, but the legal principles we're going to discuss today apply broadly across most of the United States. Whether you're in Michigan or Mississippi, California or Connecticut, if someone fires a weapon at your vehicle, there are criminal and civil systems in place designed to give you recourse. The stakes here are not small. We're talking about property damage, emotional trauma, potential personal injury claims, and serious felony criminal charges for the shooter. So let's get into exactly what happened, how the investigation unfolded, and what the law says about all of it. So here's the full picture of what went down. A driver, a woman, was traveling along a country road in West Michigan. The vehicle in front of her began brake checking her, which is when a driver intentionally and repeatedly taps their brakes to intimidate or provoke the driver behind them. The car in front slowed to around 10 miles per hour. That's barely moving on a road where traffic would normally be flowing at much higher speeds. So she made a completely reasonable decision. She passed the vehicle. Now, most people would expect that to be the end of it. You pass someone, you go your separate ways. But this driver, the one who had been brake checking her, apparently did not let it go. At the next stop sign, instead of continuing on his way, the other driver pulled out a firearm and shot at her vehicle. The rear door and rear window were both struck, glass was blown out, her car was damaged, and by some miracle, she was not physically injured. The shooter then fled the scene, driving off in a direction she was able to observe and later report to police. She called law enforcement, and an investigation was opened. Here's where things get really interesting from an evidentiary standpoint. Law enforcement began canvassing the area for surveillance footage. They checked Ring doorbell cameras from nearby homes. They pulled footage from a gas station in the vicinity, and from that footage, investigators were able to identify the suspect vehicle and potentially capture a readable license plate number. Now, think about how powerful that is from a legal standpoint. You have a crime that happened on a public road in a rural area, not exactly a place you'd expect to be covered by cameras. And yet, between residential smart doorbells and commercial gas station surveillance, investigators may have everything they need to identify and prosecute this person. This is the new reality of evidence collection in 2024. Cameras are everywhere, and they are increasingly becoming the backbone of both criminal prosecutions and civil lawsuits. At the time she posted about her experience online looking for legal guidance, she had not yet heard back from investigators about whether they had located the suspect. But the investigation was active, and the evidence was strong. So she asked the questions that any rational person in her position would ask. If they find him, what happens next? Can she sue? What should she do? These are exactly the right questions, and the answers are important. Let's start with the criminal side, because that comes first, and it matters. In Michigan, shooting at an occupied vehicle is a serious felony. Under Michigan compiled laws, firing a weapon into an occupied vehicle can result in charges that carry significant prison time. We're potentially talking about assault with a dangerous weapon, reckless discharge of a firearm, and depending on the specific circumstances, even attempted murder if prosecutors determined there was intent to harm. The brake-checking behavior before the shooting could also be used to establish premeditation or malice. It shows a pattern of aggressive, intentional conduct leading up to the shooting. That is legally significant. The victim does not control criminal charges. The prosecutor does. But as the victim, she absolutely has rights within the criminal process. She has the right to be notified of case developments. She has the right to provide a victim impact statement if the case goes to trial or results in a plea deal. In Michigan, like most states, the Crime Victims' Rights Act provides formal legal protections, ensuring she is kept informed and can participate in the process. Now let's talk about the civil lawsuit, because yes, she absolutely can sue, and she should strongly consider it. A civil lawsuit operates completely independently of the criminal case. Even if the criminal prosecution moves slowly, even if for some reason the state does not secure a conviction, she can still bring a civil claim for damages against the shooter. In fact, one of the most well-known examples of this principle is the O.J. Simpson case, where Simpson was acquitted criminally but was found liable civilly and ordered to pay millions in damages to the victims' families. In her situation, she has an incredibly strong foundation for a civil claim. She has documented property damage, a destroyed rear window and shot-out door. She potentially has surveillance video evidence. She has the physical damage to the vehicle. She may have medical documentation of emotional distress. The legal theory here is straightforward. The shooter committed an intentional tort, meaning he deliberately took an action that caused her harm. That creates liability. She can sue for the cost of repairing or replacing her vehicle, for any medical or mental health treatment she seeks as a result of the trauma, for pain and suffering, and potentially for punitive damages. Those are extra damages courts sometimes award when someone's conduct is especially outrageous or malicious. Here's what she needs to do right now, regardless of where the investigation stands. Number 1, document everything. Keep every receipt related to her vehicle repair. Take photos of all the damage before anything is fixed. Write down her detailed account of everything that happened while it is fresh in her memory. The time, the road, the description of the other vehicle, the direction of travel, everything. Number 2, contact her own insurance company. Her comprehensive or collision coverage may help cover the vehicle damage, and she should not delay that process while waiting on the investigation. Number 3, consult with a personal injury attorney as soon as possible. Many attorneys who handle personal injury and civil litigation work on contingency for cases like this, meaning they take a percentage of any settlement or judgment rather than charging up front. She has nothing to lose by getting a free consultation. Number 4, stay in contact with law enforcement. Follow up. Ask for case updates. Make sure they know she is engaged and interested in the outcome. Victims who are visibly engaged tend to receive more proactive communication from investigators. There is also a broader lesson here for anyone who drives, which is all of us. Road rage is not just an emotional problem. It is a legal powder keg, and the way you respond in the moment can significantly affect your legal standing afterward. Passing someone who is brake-checking you is lawful and reasonable. Retaliating by shooting at them is a serious violent felony. The law distinguishes clearly between a victim trying to safely remove themselves from a dangerous situation and an aggressor escalating to violence. In any future civil or criminal proceeding, that distinction matters enormously. If you ever find yourself in a road rage situation, do not engage. Do not gesture. Do not follow the other driver. Do not try to confront them. Your priority is to create distance and get to safety. If you feel immediately threatened, call 911 while driving to the nearest public, populated location. A gas station, a police station, a firehouse. Describe the vehicle and the behavior in real time to the dispatcher. Document the license plate if you can do so safely. These steps serve your safety and your legal interests simultaneously. The driver in this story did almost everything right. She didn't escalate. She passed a driver who was making the road dangerous. When shots were fired, she noted the direction of flight, called police immediately, and cooperated fully with the investigation. That behavior put her in the strongest possible legal position, both as a cooperating witness in a criminal case and as a future plaintiff in what could be a very compelling civil lawsuit. If something like this has ever happened to you, if you've been the victim of road rage, a shooting, a deliberate vehicular assault, or any kind of intentional harm by another driver, please know that you have real legal options. Document everything, contact your insurance immediately, and speak with a personal injury attorney right away. You do not have to navigate the aftermath of someone else's violence alone, and you should not let a perpetrator escape accountability simply because you didn't know what steps to take next. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe to this channel. We cover real legal situations that real people face every single day, the kind of cases that don't make the news, but that absolutely could happen to you. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let us know in the comments what legal topics you want us to break down next.